Thanks so much for joining me for my favorite foundations of 2023. Just for reference, I have combination skin, so more oily in the center. I can get oil breaking through during the day after probably about 3 hours of wear, and then I have more normal to dry skin on the exterior. It's actually quite normal right now, but if it's extreme, it can be a little bit dry, but right now it's normal. And I'm also 51 years old, so my skin's a bit more mature. I've got fine lines, some expression wrinkles. They're more evident when I smile. I also have dark spots here that I have been working on for a long time. Despite the dark spots though, I don't really look for full coverage foundation. So we have very natural foundations here. I have things that are very skin flattering, especially for the texture piece of it. So I don't typically look for full coverage, although I have a couple of full coverage foundations here. But let's start with something that's less coverage. So I talked about this in the Chanel video, the Water Fresh Tint. I actually have this on right now. This is in medium plus. So I do have this Get Ready With Me. At some point I'll link it whenever that goes live, but I have this on right now. I love this because it's lightweight, and in the winter when it seems counterintuitive to have lightweight makeup on, I like that. I like that we've got cozy cashmere sweaters on and then fresh skin. I really like that juxtaposition. Like I said, it's light and refreshing. It's got encapsulated powder so it can set itself. So if I'm not on camera, I typically won't powder it, but I powder it, actually went in with a little bit more powder because these lights really reflect the glow on the skin, especially the texture. So did want to blur the pores a little bit. But in real life, it's just fine. These lights are just kind of bright. So I love that it can set itself. It does have a glowy appearance to it, although it doesn't have a glowy feel. Sometimes glowier foundations can slip and slide because that's their texture, but this dries down but also has a glowy appearance to it. So it's a very unique product if you haven't tried it yet. If you love it, you already know what I'm talking about. But also some people don't love this. I really love it. Also more sheer foundation is this Chantecaille Future Skin. This is really lovely, especially for more normal to drier skin types, but this does work well on my oily areas as well. It doesn't really interact with the oils in a negative way. It does a really nice job of looking beautiful because it's pretty imperceptible on the skin, which is what I love the most about this. It just blurs imperfections. It doesn't cover them up, so I wouldn't expect to cover them up, but it blurs them, so it's a little bit easier to conceal. Really beautifies the skin and enhances the skin. And something that actually the companies that I'm featuring here, yeah, all of them, they really beautify the skin. So it's not about covering up, it's about making it look more beautiful. And I have this in the shade Cream, which seems a little bit light, but I like a little bit lighter, peachier tone. I think it brightens my skin tone a bit. Really pretty. Moving on from there, I have another product from Chantecaille, which is not actually a foundation product. It's their face tint. This is a little bit of an older one. But what I love about this, especially in the summer, it has a beautiful filtered effect on the skin. It has more like a pudding consistency. You can see how much deeper it looks on my skin tone, which is why I will save this for the summer for my entire face. I wish they made this in other colors because it's got something in there that almost looks like it's got a powdery element to it. So it sets, but it glows and also filters. So there's a soft focus effect with this. I'm really impressed with the way this looks all over my skin. I will use it as a bronzer during other parts of the year, but if you are a shade or two deeper than me, this might be a really lovely foundation for you. So it's kind of like a hidden gem when it comes to foundation products, that it has this lovely lightweight soft focus effect on the skin. Really comfortable as well. Moving along, we also have this, which is a skin enhancing, I like to describe it as a wax coating, which sounds like it wouldn't be a great thing, but it really does have the effect. Okay, so there's an artist, I was thinking about this. There's an artist I knew who had their artwork that involved a wax coating. So it would be refound photos and he would put them in a frame, but also put a wax coating over it. So it was a soft effect, was what it really was. It wasn't shiny, but it was a very soft, smooth kind of appearance. And this is what that reminds me of. So this is the HERMES Plein Air, which is a surprise that it's in here because I did not get along with the other shade I picked up. This is in 50 though. I had 40, which doesn't work for me at all. This has more of an olive tone to it though, so I have to be careful not to put on too much because I would love if this had a peachier undertone to it. That would be really pretty. This does have a nice, again, soft focus effect, not a full coverage, not super perfect, but it really makes the skin look so pretty. And this one actually has SPF 30 in it, and it is titanium dioxide 12.4%, but it does not have a white cast on me, which is very interesting. So I wanted to make sure to point this out. Surprise hit, I just picked this up because I was using all the Hermes palettes. I thought, let me just try this again, and I really love it. So I wanted to include it in the favorites this year. It has been a daily wear for me. In fact, we're about to travel. I'm going to take this with me. This is going to be the one foundation product I'm going to take because it's that easy to use and it looks really beautiful on the skin. Okay, moving our way up coverage wise, I've got this by Chanel, and Chanel, it's one of those other companies that does foundations really, really well. And this is the Sublimage L'Essence de Teint. Now this one is a little bit more coverage. It's got a serumy texture. It's more liquidy. It also has skincare benefits. This is supposed to help improve the appearance of skin over time. I do love that this is in a pump and has a beautiful dewy kind of glow to it, which is great for the exterior of my face. So when I use this, I will focus this on the exterior, but also use other foundations that'll help kind of mattify the center of my face a little bit, because if I wear this for a long time, I need something else that's going to help keep this under control in the front here. But I do love the dewy, healthy, beautiful skin look. This is a very elegant foundation. That is the best word I can describe for this Sublimage L'Essence de Teint. Very elegant. So even though the price point is higher, I feel like you get a more refined effect with this one. This one is in B40. Now this is not my ideal shade. It's a bit cool for me. BD, the Beige Doré, is a better undertone for me, but this is one of my most frequently used, most elegant foundations. I do pull for this when I have more special occasions, especially evening events. I will pull for this one. Then we've got this Clé de Peau. Clé de Peau has, gosh, not as many offerings in foundations as I would expect. They do make products that flatter the skin in their powders, in their foundations, and actually even in their eyeshadows. So they really think about how to make the skin look more beautiful. And they also work to not emphasize any of those things like fine lines that we are trying to not emphasize, especially at this age for me. Just trying not to emphasize those. So this is the Radiant Cream Foundation, and this one has SPF 25. And I love this because it's got a radiance about it, but also it sets really nicely. I have mine in 030. So if you were looking for something from Clé de Peau, I really like this foundation. It's beautiful. I love that it's in a tube as well. The tricky thing is their undertones are a little bit scattered, so you just have to find the right undertone. So that's why I went with 030, because the undertone is better. It's a little bit lighter, but when I'm not sure, I like to go for the undertone that works, but a lighter shade. I'd rather do that than go deeper, and especially if it's a wrong undertone. But that's definitely not going to work out, so 030 in this one. Then we have a little bit more coverage with these Chantecaille products here. This is the Just Skin Tinted Moisturizer. I have a couple of shades because, of course, I'm right in between. I'm between Glow and Tan. So Glow has a warmer tone to it. It's a bit lighter. And then Tan has more of a neutral, cooler tone. The reason I love this skin tint is because it provides a little bit more coverage. It does have SPF 15. I don't rely on that though. This one looks beautiful over many hours of wear, because I get asked, why do I love this skin tint over other skin tints? It is because it maintains that beauty really lovely on the skin, and not just when initially applied. I know I've had questions about that. How do products look after a while? This looks really beautiful after many hours of wear. And we're moving up to more coverage. So we've got here the Sublimage Le Teint. Now the difference between this one and the Sublimage L'Essence de Teint, this is more of a serumy texture, and then this one is that creamy texture, because of course this is in a jar, which I don't love. I do use this with a base illuminatrice. This and that together are a winning combination. So you get beautiful finish as well as a lot of hold on this. Still really natural looking, and what I love the most about this is that it looks better over time. I noticed that this foundation actually on initial application looks good, but not as good as it does after a few more hours of wear. Then we've got higher coverage foundations here. So there are two that are more full coverage foundations, and one of them is the Chanel Ultra Le Teint. And I know many of you love this one. Now the reason I don't wear this all the time is because I feel like this can have the potential to look more like makeup on my skin, which is why I don't use this as much. I like makeup that doesn't look like makeup. Not saying that this looks totally obvious, but compared to something like the Water Fresh Tint, this is going to look more like makeup on my skin. Still really beautiful finish and has the longest wear out of most of these foundations. So if you're looking for a long wear, more full coverage, this is also in BD41. So that helps that it has the right shade for me. So if I need something really serious that's going to last a long time, then this is going to be the one I will pull for. Very comfortable on the face. It also says flawless finish, and it is flawless. If you really are going for that full coverage, I would go with this foundation from Chanel. And then we've got here for another full coverage is the Chantecaille Future Skin Cushion. Now this one is in a cushion like this, and this is in the shade Nude. One of the special things about this foundation is that you see this little baby elephant right on the front. It's because part of your purchase goes to helping to feed these baby elephants with a very special formula. I think their milk bottles are pretty big and it's very specialized formula. So know that part of your purchase goes to that. That is not the only reason I love this foundation. It's because it's one of the only foundations I can use that also can serve as a concealer. Now, not under the eyes, but right here on my dark spots, I can build this up and I don't need to add another concealer. This requires the thinnest layer of foundation to really perfect the skin, and it looks stunning. So actually, my sister is the one who taught me about this combination. She loves the SUBLIMAGE L'Essence de Temps. So she takes this, puts it on her face, and she does not like to powder. She lives in a humid area. She will take this Chantecaille cushion and she'll just use it to mattify this front of her face, and that serves as her powder. And she does have more dry skin than me. You might want to try that if you're in a humid climate and you want to set your makeup, but you don't want to add powder, because I completely understand when it is humid, powder is one of the last things I want to put on my face. But this sets by itself as well. So if you're looking for a cushion foundation, now this is different than many cushion foundations which are quite dewy on me. And there's a reason I don't have very many of them, because they're a little bit too dewy for me. This one sets itself. So if you're looking for a lovely thin veil of foundation that is still going to perfect the skin and look natural, I definitely would consider this. I do have a video where I swatched about 6 shades or so of this. So if you want to see that, I'll try to remember to link it below for you. But again, Chantecaille Future Skin Foundation. So these are the foundations I'll be choosing from for my end of the year favorites of 2023, where I pick one item per category and put a look together of my favorites. So if you haven't seen, I did a blush video, I did an eyeshadow video, powder, what else? Also doing a lipstick video if that has not gone up yet, but I tried to cover all of the major areas. But do let me know what your favorite foundations are. I would love to learn from you. Please leave them in the comment section below, as well as your shade and other shades that you can reference, because that's really helpful. And then your skin type, because that makes a big difference, as well as your climate. I think those things are really impactful on the outcome of how foundation will do. But that is it for today's video. So please take care of each other, stay well if you enjoyed this video. If you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.